I find the story of Deebo Samuel to be a very interesting one. He was a second round pick, and it kind of was like, okay, seems like he has some talent. What's he going to do coming into the NFL? And he's absolutely delivered. He had 800 receiving yards along with another 150 rushing yards, and he's definitely been a key point of this 49ers team. And I think one of the things that gets brought up is the fact that since Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt last year, they were able to get Nick Bosa, but it's not just Bosa they were able to get. It was also Bosa and Deebo, because he probably wouldn't have fallen had they not had such a high pick in the second round. And then I guess the question becomes, do they maybe take him in the first round then, or do they trade up, or whatever? It's impossible to really know what happens, but the reality is it's definitely a huge advantage that he is on the 49ers team for the 49ers. He's been a great player, and one thing that I find very interesting about him is he's probably having the best postseason run that somebody with only 5 receptions has ever had. I mean, the 5 receptions, that's not much. Part of that is just because the 49ers, only threw the ball 8 times last or 2 weeks ago in the NFC Championship game. But another part of that is just because that's kind of the way the 49ers run their system. They're not about feeding one guy the ball. It's very much, let's spread it out. But that being said, he's played some great football, and let's just jump into it, and we'll start things off with this play. It's a very simple concept. It's going to be a cover 2 zone, and then what they're going to do is run play action to the top of the screen, and then Deebo will just run a little jet sweep motion to the bottom half of the screen. So Garoppolo's going to fake the handoff and then hit Samuel. This is usually actually better against man coverage, but it can still work against zone just to get you a few yards. Because, watch, after the ball is snapped, Garoppolo does hit Samuel. The Green Bay player isn't fooled, which makes some sense. In zone coverage, you're less likely to fool somebody in a play like this. And so now, hopefully Deebo, he'll probably get tackled, but hopefully he falls forward. You can pick up 4 yards or so. Now, the flip side, of course, is that if you can just make a quick move, then you can get by him and potentially pick up the first down. So that's the hope. It's that's the upside, and then the downside isn't very down. You're still probably picking up a couple of yards. But watch how Samuel makes a move, gets around him, and stays in bounds and gets even more yards after the fact. So that's not even the upside. That's higher than the upside when you draw that play up. And that's what a great player like Deebo Samuel can do, is he can just make things happen that for Kyle Shanahan, he didn't even think about that extra part being a possibility, to picking up the extra 7 yards after making the first guy miss. You think about, okay, what's probably going to happen is that he gets tackled and we gain 4 yards. What could maybe happen is that he can make a move, we get the first down, but, he was able to make a move, get the first down, and then get some more. Just a tremendous play from the rookie. And I think the fact that San Francisco has a few guys like that, to have Deebo Samuel, obviously George Kittle, it's either him or Kelsey as the best receiving tight end in the NFL. And then there's also Emmanuel Sanders in there. So they have some guys who can make moves after the catch. You can honestly even throw Kyle Juszczyk in there just because he's a difficult guy to bring down. So they definitely have some guys who can make some moves. And one thing that Samuel does very well is he's just a good route runner. Like on this play, pretty simple play. It's again going to be cover 2 zone. And what they're going to do here is that they're going to have their 2 receivers on the top half of the screen, run those 2 routes right there. It's actually Kyle Juszczyk as the receiver who's closest to the top half of the screen, and then you have Samuel who is just right below him. And so Samuel's route is going to be into a gap in coverage in front of the safeties, and with Juszczyk's route underneath, it's going to hopefully draw a Green Bay Packer closer in, which will widen the window for Garoppolo to be able to hit Samuel, and it is going to work out after the ball is snapped, as you see. Right there, definitely Green Bay has moved in. They're looking at Juszczyk because they're like, okay, you're in my zone. I got to make sure I cover you up. But because of this, now for Samuel, there definitely is some separation. Also, if you look at the safety, he's a little bit too far deep at this point. So now Garoppolo will have a chance to make this throw, and they can pick up a first down. But again, this kind of goes back to the last thing of, so that was what you expected to happen. When Shanahan called this play, he was hoping that this could happen. He knew this is a very real possibility. But what he wasn't really thinking about was what Samuel could do after the catch, and that's what he's going to do right here. He makes the catch, gets around one safety, and runs over the other one to nearly get a touchdown. He just lost his footing at the end there. He had a chance to get a touchdown. Just really a tremendous play by Samuel right there. Good route running at the beginning, and then also a great move in open space. Just good work by him. And while I say that's not why Shanahan dialed up that play, in a sense it kind of is. I mean, obviously he's not dialing up the play and saying, this is something that's definitely going to happen. But at the same time, he is saying, hey, if we get the ball to Deebo Samuel in open space, he can make some moves and potentially get around guys. He's very good at that. So let's make sure we do get him the ball sometimes, because it's better to have Samuel with the ball downfield than it is with a lot of other guys having the ball downfield. So it definitely makes some sense. There was also this play. This was in the game against Minnesota, where it's going to be a cover one hole concept that the Vikings are in. And for the 49ers right here, that's going to be Deebo Samuel's route, which isn't a crazy route by any means. This is kind of a relatively typical route, just cutting over the middle. And since it's a cover one hole, he will have some space that there will be an opening, but not a ton of space, He's going to have to get open in a hurry because he just doesn't have the time, because after he moves over to the middle of the field, then a linebacker will be blocking off the window and Garoppolo can't really hit him. So he is going to have to get open very quickly. So watch how just right after the ball is snapped, he just instantly cuts in, and now for the defensive player who is covering Samuel, he's just too far away at this point. Ideally, you would like to be closer. He probably shouldn't have played that far off, but again, he didn't know that this was the play that was coming, so it's kind of hard to totally blame him. But Garoppolo is able to hit Samuel, and Samuel makes a nice catch because Garoppolo threw it a little bit behind him, but he was still able to make the catch, take a hit, and hang on to the football. And that's another thing that I like about Samuel is he is just a physical guy, He's not the biggest receiver by any means, but he definitely is the kind of guy who is not afraid to take a hit and not afraid to run you over either. So he is definitely someone that he's very physical. He kind of fits that San Francisco 49ers culture in a lot of ways. They have a lot of those physical guys, and he is definitely one of them. And one more play I really liked from Samuel was this one, where what's going to happen is that it's a cover 4 zone now that they're going up against, and those are routes that the 49ers receivers on the screen are going to be running. So basically, that's going to be Deebo Samuel's route. It's a route over the middle. It is in a gap in coverage to a degree. It's past the linebackers, but before the defensive backs. So that's definitely something that Garoppolo could look to throw the ball to. And at first, Garoppolo is going to look in that direction, but it's not really open right here. Minnesota's linebackers are doing a pretty decent job of staying in the way of Samuel. So at this point, there's several things Samuel could do, but the main thing to do is just continue running your route. Just keep going to the bottom half of the screen. Don't give up on the route. Make sure that you can get over there. But also keep in mind, the receiver who's below him on the screen is going to be cutting back and running back towards the right side of the screen. So this now means that there's going to be a defensive back also running kind of in Samuel's direction. So because of that, when Garoppolo does hit Samuel, he makes the catch, has to take a hit, but bounces off of it and then finally goes down for about 1 extra yard. But still, just a very good play by Samuel, I thought, to just know what you're supposed to do. Know that, okay, don't give up on your route. Keep going 100% because you could end up getting open. He did get open and even absorbed a hit. And so, yeah, that's just some of the things I like about Samuel. He's a young player, but he's a very good player. And I think that's one of the reasons the 49ers are currently in the Super Bowl is they just have players like Deebo Samuel. They have all these sort of plug-and-play guys who can just do things very well. They all fit the system well. There's so many guys on the 49ers team that you just know. A casual fan can probably name like 20 49ers players because they have that many notable players. I think that is kind of why this Super Bowl is so interesting in a sense because, I kind of always say, what do you do well more so than how complete are you? I care more about what do you do well. The Kansas City Chiefs, of course, they're so top-loaded when it comes to their offense. Patrick Mahomes, we all know the people. But I think it's interesting is that the 49ers kind of are that complete football team, but they also do some things really, really well. So, they run the ball, obviously. They were the best running team outside of Baltimore. So I definitely think that's one thing about that. But also, they rush the passer. They're great at rushing the passer. They have very good linebackers. They do a lot of things really well, but they're definitely, I think, a more complete team than the Chiefs. But I think the Chiefs do have a better one aspect of the game in the passing game, in my opinion. But I do think that this is a very, very evenly matched game. Again, we're all saying it. The game could go either way. It should be a blast. And one of the reasons why the 49ers do have a real chance at winning this game is because of a guy like Deebo Samuel. And also, just before I go, just going to let you know that make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I am posting a clip just about every day. I missed yesterday, but for the most part, I'm going to be posting a clip every day. So it's just like a single play breakdown. So if that's something you're interested in, the link is in the description below. So feel free to click on that. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.